Okay, so new unit, graphing of lines. The first thing we're going to be working on today, and you guys are going to be up on the boards, is finding the slope of a line from a graph and from a pair of points. So you got two slopes to work on today, and you're going to have a homework assignment at the end, okay, that deals with this material. Okay, first of all, what's the difference between these two pictures that we see? Okay, one of them's pointing up, the other one's pointing down. Okay. The one on the left, we usually associate that with what kind of a slope? A positive slope. Okay, so the way that you can tell if it's positive or negative really quickly is just see if you can write your name on it. Okay, if you write your name on it and you're going up, that's positive slope. This one is going down, so that's a negative slope. Okay? You can also have slope, what do you call? That's not pointing up or down. What do you call it what's the number between the positive numbers and the negative numbers? 0. This is a 0 slope. All right. This guy, however, is a special case. We're going to talk about him in a little bit. Is that going up or going down or what? Think about that. Is that pointing up or is that pointing down? Both, yeah. Well, I mean, it's not positive or, I mean, you can't be positive and negative at the same time, can you? No. There's a name for this. This in a minute. First of all, is that a function? No, that's not a function because it's a vertical line. Vertical lines fail the vertical line test. Okay. This has an undefined slope. It's not. I shy away from saying no slope. It's just that it's undefined. Okay? No slope implies that the slope does not exist. When you say undefined, what you're really saying is that there is no definition for it. That's not the same thing, saying the same thing as that it doesn't exist. Okay? Just because something doesn't exist inside the dictionary doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Okay? So undefined is the preferred term. Okay? All right. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to practice how to find slope from a graph. Old news. Did this last year. We'll do it again. All right. All right. The thing that you're looking for when you do this is you're looking for a place where the grid marks, the left and right and up and down grid marks, intersect with the line all at the same time. What you do is you roll your eye up and down the graph. First of all, is this a positive slope or a negative slope? Positive slope, good. We're going to roll our eyes up and down this picture, and we're going to find places where the graph of the line and the blue, in this case blue, grid marks all intersect at the same place. Okay? So you see right there, this is, at this point, my grid marks and the black line all hit. Right here, it does not. So that's not it. We don't want that point. So we roll up to the next place. Oh, there's one. And there's another. And if you're doing this right, enough room, you should see that your dots are evenly spaced and that they fall into the same kind of pattern. All right? It's that pattern that we're looking for. Okay? So to describe this pattern, about how you go from one point to the other. Okay, does anybody remember which one, because is it a pair of numbers, is it a fraction, is it a decimal, what are we looking for here? If it's got a pair of parentheses and a comma in it, that's a coordinate pair. That's an address. That's like saying this is where the point lives. Beatrice, tell me, what should my slope look like? The number that I'm looking for here. Excellent, a fraction. Thank you, Beatrice. That's great. So my answer is going to look like a fraction. Okay, and the first. Okay. The rise, is that x or is that y? Which is the rise? Y, because y's go up and down, x's go left and right. You have to rise before you can run. All right. If I'm sitting in this chair right now, as I'm sitting, it's not really quite easy to start running. So I first have to rise. We do the rise first. We stand up, and then you can run. Okay. So we do y's first, and then x's. All right. So the rise, what we're going to do to get that and to get both of the numbers for this fraction is we're going to go from one red dot to another red dot along the grid lines. Okay? So since we do rise first, we're going to go up. And we're going to go over 2. So the slope of this line is 1/2. Okay? And we notice that we see the same pattern. 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2. Okay? If you don't see that repeating pattern, or if your pattern changes, then you might want to just find out if you really did find a point that you were supposed to be looking for. So here's an example of one that isn't supposed to. All right. So if we look at this, you could say, oh, hey, there's a point. All right, well, yeah, this one's kind of close. That's good enough. We'll try it. All right, see what happens. Well, that pattern would be down 1 over 2. But if we try to go down that pattern again, you'll see that it fails. All right, the pattern should be repeated each and every time. Okay? So if it doesn't repeat like it should, then you might want to consider looking for another point. So let's scroll down the line. Sometimes we got to go a little. Sometimes you got to go pretty far in order to find a good point. Okay? So this guy, we rise. In this case, we're going to go down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So my two numbers are down 5, negative 5, and 9, positive 9. So should it be 9 over negative 5 or negative 5 over 9? Which one first? Negative 5 over 9, because the rise is the y value. And we can't reduce that fraction, so we're done. Okay? If you can reduce your fraction, you should. Yes. That's all you need to do. All we're doing is identifying the slope for now. Later on, we'll be doing more with it. But right now, we need to be able to count it correctly, identify where it is, and if necessary, reduce the fraction. Okay? All right. How does that feel? You guys have done that before, right? A long time ago? Yeah? A million years ago? Feels like it. Okay. All right. So, here's the part that actually involves a little bit of arithmetic, a little bit of number work. Okay? All right. So, I'm going to give you 2 points. Okay. So, you'll have a slip today that looks like these kinds of problems. You'll have ones like the last problem and one like this. And you'll be expected to find the slope in both cases. All right, so like we saw before, your slope is rise over the run. So the rise you said to me a minute ago was which one, X or Y? It's the Y's, okay. And remember, in this coordinate pair, these are your X's and these are your Y's, right? So we're going to deal with the Y's first because that goes on top. And then we're going to deal with the X's, right? Good morning. Yes. All right. So here's how we go. If you go on a number line from 3 to -1, you went, you're going down. How far did you go down? 4. Yeah, you went from 3 all the way to 0, and then one more to get to -1, right? So we went down 4. If we went from -4 to 2, we're going up or we're going down? We're going up. All right, we started at -4, we went all the way to 0, that took us 4 steps, and then we went 2 more, that's up to 6. Slope, -4 over 6, you get your numbers right away, and if you have to reduce your fraction, you do. Can I reduce that fraction? Yes, by what? By 2, because they're both even, right? We can divide it by 2, and what do we get? -2/3. Thank you very much. You're done. That's all you got to do. Okay, you got to be able to play with a number line. You got to be able to reduce a fraction. That's it. Let's do some more. Okay. You start at 10, you walk to 4, you're going up, you're going down. What are you doing? You're going down. You're starting at 10, you go down to 4. That means you lost something. How much did you go down? You went down 6. You got -6 right here. You started at -5 and you walked to -2. You went up, right? You were -6. You were -5, and then you climbed up to -2. How far did you walk? 3. So your slope, -6 over 3, and what is we'll reduce 2? Ooh. -2. You could write it as -2 over 1, but this is more reduced. Okay? Because -2 over 1 is just -2. Okay? So if you can reduce it, reduce it. Sometimes they don't reduce. Okay? How far is that? How much? You went from -4 to 0, and then from 0 to 11. 15. How much? 5. How much? 15 divided by 5 is 3. Your answers often will be fractions. That doesn't mean that you can't have a whole number like we did here. We had 2 examples that were whole numbers. Okay, sometimes your answer is going to be 0. Okay, sometimes, it can't reduce. Sometimes it can. Let's do some weird ones then. Okay. negative 2 to negative 2. How far did you walk? Yeah, you stood at negative 2, and you didn't go anywhere. You did 0 steps. You went from 4 to negative 5. How far did you walk? You went how far? I didn't hear it. Negative 9. You went down 9. Good. So 0 over negative 9. What is that? 0 divided by negative 9. 0. So yeah, your answer can be a 0. All right. That's not unheard of. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Right now. So we went from negative 2 up to 5. How far is that? How far did you go? You went up, right? You went up 7. Okay, here we go again. We started at 4, ended at 4. How many steps did you take? 0. Okay. Now, 7 divided by 0. Think about that. Okay, this is why it doesn't make sense. Think about it this way. All right, I have 7 candy bars. I walk into an empty room, and I give everyone in the room the candy bars. How much did all of them get? Think about that. I gave an empty room. I gave everyone in the room. There are no people in the room, so how could I give it to them? I can't. I can't give them 7. I can't give them 1. I can't give them half. I can't give them none because there's no one there. I know, it starts playing with your brain, right? Think about that. I have 7 and I give it to no one. How much do they get?
But technically, aren't you giving yourself something?
No. The act of giving, I didn't give it. Yeah. So, think about that. Does it make sense? How can I give 7 things to no one and then ask no one how much they got? It doesn't make sense. This is undefined. You cannot divide by 0. Imaginary friends, yeah. There we go. Yeah, it's only when the 0 is on the bottom. If I were to flip it upside down, that would be like saying, all right, I've got nothing, and I give it to 7 people. How much did the 7 people get? Then then there's somebody to give it to. You see? All right. So the top line, would this be a vertical line or a horizontal line? This one up here. That's all. Okay, that's 2 points that are side by side of each. This guy, whoops, that was neat. This guy would be a vertical line. 0 slope, undefined. You always know you're dealing with undefined if you're dividing by 0, if your denominator's on the bottom. Okay? All right, how do we feel about all this? Impossible? Fantastic. This episode of The Bronco Show has been filmed in front of a live studio audience and brought to you by Rise and Run.